Hello, hello. So today I'm going to do a teaching on how to stay focused. This is actually something that comes up quite a bit. I think most people struggle with staying focused on the task in hand. I mean, how do you get everything done? You know, some people comment, and ask me, how do you get everything done you do? You know, they see me doing lots of stuff and they say, how do you get all that stuff done? Well, I'm going to share a few things, practical things with you that I really believe will help you, and just stuff I've learned over time, what works and what doesn't. Obviously, personalities are different, but you may have to adjust it for that. But the principles, I think, are basically the same. So the first thing really to help us stay focused is we need to know what we're doing. So, setting some goals and, watch that teaching I did on goal setting, have some projects, know what what you're aiming to do, what you're aiming to achieve, have a definite goal in mind. Now, the first thing, obviously, to talk about is distractions, because we're living in this world where there's lots of things to distract us. Unfortunately, there's lots of technology to help us, but at the same time that technology can distract us. People can distract us, can't they? They can interrupt what we're doing. That can be via physically, or it can be via the internet, having your Facebook page open, somebody messaging you and it pinging, and your phone ringing, and somebody sends you a text and a WhatsApp, and all the other stuff. Or maybe you just don't get down to it. You'd rather do the housework. Not that I would particularly, but that's easier to do, so that you get distracted. You just go and do something that you can you find easy to do. You're putting it, maybe this task is big and you're putting it off because you don't really want to get started. That's a big one as well. You can distract yourself. You can sabotage your progress yourself. So set up the environment where you start to remove some of those distractions. Set up a physical space. So I've got an office here, which is fairly quiet. Everything I need is to hand. I'm not constantly setting up the internet and stuff. It all works as I need it. The door's closed. So if I want to do a Zoom, it's all in front of me. I've got my microphone, I've got my camera and everything else. I just switch off the distractions, so my phone's outside. Facebook is off. So think about that. Think of actually how you get distracted. Maybe write those things down. How do I get distracted? Because sometimes we're just not aware of what's going on. So next time you're trying to do something, just write down in your diary, what distracted you. The time of day is important as well. I mean, morning it's quieter. So if you're early in the morning, if you get up, you might be an early bird. You might like to get up early and do some work. I'm not particularly an early bird. I like late at night, actually. I like to do sort of computer-y type work, especially at night. I find I seem to get more done. Maybe it's just because it's quieter. It's quite hot in the UK at the moment. That doesn't help you stay focused as well if you're a bit, hot and bothered. And the dog next door sometimes is barking away, which can be distracting. It can just be distracting in the terms of like it just annoys you. So it invades your mental space. So let's talk about the mental space now, because this is one of the important subjects to deal with. So your brain is a muscle, and I learned this off Darren Daly. He teaches on using 90 minutes a day, and I started to put this into practice, and I found this is really helpful. I used to do 2 hours, but 2 hours is just a little bit too long. 1 hour and 30 minutes is about 90 minutes is about the ideal time you can do maximum sort of concentration. And my advice is do 90 minutes and time it. Put a timer on. You can do that on the internet, or you can do it on your phone, and time it for 90 minutes. It's quite a good length of time. And actually, you'll find it'll give you some mental space to do the task at hand. And often you'll find, especially putting stuff off, you're thinking, oh, it's going to take me ages. And you get into your 90 minutes and you think, I've got loads of time to do this. And you find you've done it in the first half an hour, which is great, isn't it? So you're ahead of the game. Use the 90 minutes, though, for major tasks. So a project, if you're, if you're working on, I don't know, say you're working on adding a page to your website, that could be a goal for that day, an about page, let's say, then you could spend 90 minutes on that, and you'll see how long it takes as well. It also gives you, by spending 90 minutes, you get a bit of an idea how long tasks take as well, so you get better at estimating for future tasks. Don't do your general to-do list, unless that's what you're only going to do in that 90 minutes. Your brain is a muscle, so use it for the stuff you really need to be thinking about. Don't start off with general to-do list, because that will just wear you out. These left brain logical tasks. Start off with the right brain tasks. So, warm up. When you work out, you warm up. It's the same with the brain. Warm it up. I do something right brain and creative, say for half an hour. I do half an hour's piano practice often, or you might pray for 30 minutes. You might do drawing. All those things get you into that flow state, into that right brain state, which is then ideal for when you want to get into the, the major tasks, because you want to use both left and right sides of your brain for a super efficiency. At the end, make sure you take a break and cool down. Often, we get so into a task, then we, keep going, and you'll find that you become more and more inefficient, and you'd be better off having a break and starting again later on. So that's my advice. Try 90 minutes a day. It really does work. It really helps you focus. The other thing to do is with your time as well, with your week, divide it up, so schedule it, plan for it. So it's important to plan, because if you've got the goal, you know what you're doing, you plan for it, put it in your diary, and don't try and do too many things in one day. So what I tend to do is I'll have a day for music. I don't always keep to this. It's always, you're learning all the time how to adapt to this. I might have a day for music. I might have half a day for music. I might have a day where I just do content for Creatives Arise. I might do, so start to give your brain a bit of space. It knows what it's doing. This day it's doing this. This day it's doing this. And it might do half a day, but I wouldn't suggest you divide it up any more than that. Multitasking does not work. It's super inefficient. They've done studies on this. It's very stressful. Your brain isn't designed to multitask, and this applies to women as much as men. In fact, they did studies on this, and there's no difference between men and women in terms of multitasking abilities of the brain. But obviously, women do tend to have more practice of this, with kids interrupting them and everything else. So don't get stuck in those stereotypes there. Your brain works in a certain way, so give it the help it needs. If you say, how do I get all this stuff? This is one of the big reasons, this is one of the big ways I get things done. And it's surprising, isn't it? I think I'd probably have a maximum of 3 90-minute sessions a day. Most of the time it's 2. And you think, well, that's only 180 minutes. That's only 3 hours. But that proves, actually, that most of the time, you don't get, when you're working full time in a job 7.5 hours a day, how much of that is really efficient. So I'm really talking about, real great, achieving something really specific. And so write it down, what you've achieved in the day. Have a look back, write it down as you're going along will help as well. So yeah, don't try and multitask. Try and streamline your task so that you're focusing on one thing, and then switch over to something else. Your brain will love you for that. So hopefully that's helped you. So set up the environment, create the physical space, switch off distractions, create mental space with 90 minutes at a time. Create space in your week, decide you're going to schedule that out and split it up so you give yourself plenty of room for maneuver. So action plan. So try it just for one day this week. So decide on a day and say, right, I'm going to do this task. It could be painting. It could be, you want to come up with a painting. So plan for that. Plan you've got all your supplies ready. Plan where you're actually going to do it. When you're going to start. See, like I can hear a phone ringing in the other room. That's a distraction. Go away. I'm leaving off. So what's the goal? What do you want to achieve? And when you go, decide when you're going to start, you're going to get a bit earlier, to get going a bit earlier. Put your timer on, try it for 90 minutes, and give yourself a reward at the end. If you're successful, well, even if you're not successful, it doesn't matter. If you manage to get down to it and get on with it, you'll sort of the task will either be a lot easier than you thought, or maybe a bit harder than you thought. But at least you'll have moved on it. So maybe your reward could be something simple as just going for a walk or something like that. But hopefully that really helped you, and love to have some feedback, and maybe you've got some tips as well. But that's my advice on staying focused. Thanks for watching.